Hi. Hi, hello, it's me, the local virtual baker, Saltea Kichee. Hi, thank you for the raid mistakes. Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, 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 hi. Hi. Oh, I'm sleepy. I took a nap not long before I started stream today, and I'm a little sleepy. Hello, hello, hello. I have gotten some things I would like to talk about when it comes to bread. I don't know why. I don't know how. But today just kind of very much seems like a day I just want to talk about bread. Hold on, and also, what is it? Hold on, I gotta find it. I wanted to talk about oh, there it is. I want to talk about bread, and also just talk about maybe some new concepts and whatnot, because I'm very bad with concepts and stuff, and I don't know, I want to make more bread. Hold on. I gotta get all my notes out for this, because some of these notes have been outdated, and there are just some things I want to try and new things I'd like to do. So yeah, hold on. I've made some bread today. I wanted to, but I need yeast. Well, you could always use sour starter and stuff like that, no? I did want to take a little moment here because I have some really cool pictures, because I made some really cool looking bread today. I haven't made so as you all know, I love my sourdough and all that whatnot, you know, but I haven't really made too many sourdough based breads. Like, I usually make my sourdough and that's really all I really make. That's the end of the story, you know? But I have been perusing the idea, dancing with the idea that I could make some bread that is based on make some bread but replace some of the instant active yeast I use in replacement with some sour starter. And at work today, it's been very slow, so I've actually made a nice, lovely sour starter focaccia. It has sun-dried tomatoes, some garlic puree. The green stuff is thyme, because we just had a lot of extra thyme instead of using rosemary, so I just used some thyme instead. And yeah, this was like one of the most beautiful breads I've made in quite a long time. I've actually even took a video of, hold on, I gotta check the audio, make sure no one says anything weird. You see someone's hands at the end, but nah, but okay, it's fine, I can show it. Hold on, was this the video? Okay, that's the video. It's, apparently, it's named as an IMG file, which is weird. Alright. Hopefully it shouldn't be too loud. Alright. Yeah, so this is my focaccia. This is the said focaccia dough, and it was really nice when it came out. It turned out beautifully. Like, it was nice and wiggly and bubbly. It had a nice bit of jiggle to it. It was great. It was a good piece of focaccia and all that. Turned out very nicely. Like, it was ready. It was probably like the most perfect proof I did for like a focaccia in recent time. It actually I think this actually was pretty much like one of my best focaccias I've made, just period. just because there was so much here. Let me show you actually the finished thing here, of course, but like, look at this beast. Look at this lovely thing right here. Some might think that this might be burnt, but it is not burnt. It is just nicely charred. Yeah, the tomato, the sun-dried tomatoes was like nice and sweet. It's like, I know I said it wasn't burnt, but it had that nice like charred flavor of like, if you kind of took marinara sauce and made it a little bit darker than usual. But this was like insanely, incredibly good. Very delicious. Very nice, deep flavors. A lot of garlic, but above all else, the crumb. Just the bread itself was so fluffy and so soft. And it's kind of funny because I had this kind of epiphany of sorts. In a sense of like, I love bread, but I can't actively talk about it because I don't know how to talk about bread until I get the feel for it, if that makes sense, you know? I gotta roll. Focaccia is tasty. Anyways, bye. See ya! Bye, mistake. Bye bye. Hi, Casper. But when it comes to like me talking about bread and me like extremely like showing my just talking about bread on like casual standby, I have such a hard difficulty with it, and I cannot fathom why. Today was kind of that epiphany of like, yeah, I can talk about bread, and I know a lot about it, but I don't know how to talk. Which is kind of like, I just don't know how to talk. I don't know how to convey the ideas, the thoughts, the words in my head, because this was possibly the best bread I have made in quite a while. That's including my sourdoughs and all that stuff I've made too. But my sourdough is kind of very standard, very simple, very like white bread. It's like very vanilla. It's like, yeah, of course it's gonna be good. Also, I'm just now thinking, since I said vanilla, I want to go get the ice cream. So give me a second. Okay, I got some ice cream. We're chilling now. But yeah, this was some good bread. Like, I kind of had this I did really have like the most eye-opening, like, holy shit, what's wrong with me epiphany today, because normally when someone asks me about bread, I just go like, yeah, okay, so this is what I did, and like, oh yeah, bread, I like bread, bread's good. I give like the most basic spiel, like small talk when it comes to bread whenever it's like brought up to me or something like that. But it's really funny because like one person was asking about like, oh hey, how were you able to do this and do that, and like, why does my focaccia, when I made sourdough focaccia, look so much more differently and all this and that. I do not know how to explain it, but for some reason I had the intellect and intelligence of like a seasoned baker. Like, I was able to give them like good reasoning, good answers, causation, and stuff like that. I sound like, if I were to go back and listen to myself, I probably would not believe myself in the sense that I said that and then like copy paste it from like thing I've seen like on an article or something like that, you know? But it turns out that I'm smart, which is still a weird thing to fathom. But it's like I'm selectively smart. Like, I can't even choose when I want to be smart, because I'm trying to bring up what he said, what he was asking about, and what, more importantly, what I said. I don't know. It's weird, because I love talking about bread. I couldn't theoretically talk about bread for at least 3 hours straight. Like, the bread autism runs strong within me. However, I can't talk about bread just to myself because in my head, I already know what's this and that. So it's like I need an agitator. I need someone to make me like excited. I need someone to like talk to me about bread, and it's like, okay, I can answer everything you ever wanted to know, because like I have dormant knowledge of like, oh yeah, I know everything about bread, but I just don't know how to talk about it right now. It's like, I guess I'm just very selective. And also, I guess since I know so much about bread, it's really hard to talk about bread as a whole. Because bread is very, very simple on paper. But the funny thing is that there's too much to talk about. Like, I can go on and tell you about the differences in flours. I can tell you the things about the differences in colors when it comes to flours and grains and protein and all this silly stuff, but then it's like overwhelming because there's so much to talk about. So it's much easier to talk about one specific thing when it comes to bread. There's the entire whole spectrum when it comes to the bread. But this was really fun to make. And also, it was really funny to make in the sense that this requires no effort. Making this bread was the laziest bread I've ever made. No effort. None of the sorts. And, I don't know. A lot of people were coming to me saying, Salty, this is the best focaccia I've ever had. Like, this is the best bread. There's people that were saying this was the best bread they've ever had. I will go say this is not the best bread I've ever had. Because the best bread I ever had was my first sourdough I've ever made. And I've just been chasing that high ever since. But, a lot of people were complimenting and saying like this was a fantastic sourdough focaccia. And it was. It was like, it had that nice crispy but thin layer on the outside. Like, you can very barely see it. The crust, it was so thin. But it had a nice crisp and crunch to it. But the inside was nice and fluffy, like if it was like a mix between focaccia and sourdough. Go figure. But it was nice and fluffy, it was airy, it was light. And like, the little bit of cube that I did cut out, you would think that like this is the most lightest piece of bread. And like, it was shocking of how long it lasted on the community table. Because we had a community table where all the chefs and departments will throw random shit there, and we'll pick at it every now and then. Usually some of the stuff stays there for like hours or minutes. Hours or like, you know, just a while. When that focaccia was there, it was there and it was gone. And there's only been one other thing that I make and I see that is there and gone, and that is when our other departments have made tacos. Those things do not last. And when I make pizza, that just doesn't last at all because everyone just loves pizza. But when it came to making this focaccia, yeah, it's something that sits for a bit, but it just went like that. It was gone. It was probably there for at least half an hour, but like, it was incredible in my head of how long it didn't last. I assume they just haven't had fresh bread before. A lot of people haven't. That's the thing, Bush. I make fresh bread there all the time. That and the whole lot of us are professional cooks, professional chefs. Not me, yo. I'm just a cook still. But a lot of these lads have been working, doing things a lot more efficiently than me. But then I come and mosey around and it's like, I've never worked in a bakery before. I don't know what I'm doing. Which is the funniest thing when it comes to like making bread and all that. Cause for the most part, and I'll continue to say it, when I make bread, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Like when I was making this focaccia, first of all, I think I botched it a bit because Usually there's a percentage, there was a thing I was doing with like, oh, I was using this much yeast and then I gotta do a percentage and a breakdown and you know, I gotta try and convert numbers and stuff within what is it, convert numbers and all that whatnot when it comes to making a proper recipe. But I was lazy, and my monkey brain was like, oh, you know what, let me change that. And it was kind of funny because usually which is a very funny coincidence, but like I was making some bread and whatnot, and I had someone else who had made the sourdough bread before, but not like sourdough bread, but like a sourdough focaccia, and I did conversions and ratios and all this and that, and it turned to be a 9% ratio of how much starter you should use in a bread, which is coincidental and really funny because I was also making some sourdough bagels. Those are gonna come tomorrow, hopefully. And those turned out to be an accidental 9% as well. So another thing of like, I don't know what I'm doing. My guesstimation is like, okay, I'm just gonna do a 1 to 10 ratio, because usually when I try and convert stuff as a baseline, my baseline is usually a 1 to 10 ratio. 1 gram of instant active yeast usually is around 10 grams of starter, usually. But even with that, I'm surprised that my guesstimation of a ratio actually works fairly consistently in the grand scheme of it. To be fair, the ratio wasn't perfect, because when I did do the conversion, it was a flat 9.1%, which is comparison to the other person's recipe, which was a 9% flat. So yeah, it's not exactly 9%, but it's 9% enough, if that makes sense. Anyways, I went completely like stupid mode when it was trying to do conversions, because I did something else, and it turned from, instead of a 9%, it was a 30% amount of starter, which is a lot. Because that, at that point, that is a literal almost 3 times the amount you should use. That being said, it was delicious. It turned out perfectly. It turned out lovely. It was fluffy. It was soft. It was chewy. It was crispy. And it was almost like the delicious toppings on top were almost an afterthought. So that was like the most shocking thing to me. And also, this is a very key thing when it comes to making breads or sourdough breads and stuff like that. It's very subtle, and no one gives a shit about it except for me. But when you make good bread, the flavor of the bread should linger in your mouth. Like that, for some breads that are fermented, or some that's just been resting for a long time, you'll taste it in your mouth still. You won't think about it unless you're looking for it. But this is like one of those stupid things that happens where it's like, oh, no one's gonna notice it, but the people who are perfectionists will, if that makes sense. Like you ever like watch a music video and there's like small little itty bitty details that don't really make sense and you don't really care about, but when you go back and rewatch that video once or twice more, and you notice these small little things, it makes you appreciate it just a little bit more. This is kind of on that same ballpark of like, this is such a small, minute detail that no one cares about, but it's a subtle thing that you'll kind of pick up, in the sense of like, if you ate this in comparison to just normal bread. But yeah, no, this was fantastic. It was just great. It had a nice lingering flavor in your mouth. You could still taste the flavor of that focaccia, because it did have a very, very mild amount of funk, of sourdough funk. But I think that's also because there was so much olive oil, and there was just a lot of other stuff on top of it that kind of masked all that sour flavor. But the sour flavor worked in tandem with everything else, like the tartness of the chard and the sun-dried tomatoes, the nice crispy, I'm gonna just say it, burnt flavor of garlic. All that thyme and all the dark bits on top as well. And that nice, luscious, fluffy, and soft interior. And there's that nice flavor of olive oil on the top and the bottom. It was just so good. It was beautiful. But yeah, it's always fun making focaccia, just because when I want to make a very low-key bread, let's say I want to make a really good bread. I want to make a bread that's like, oh, I want to make a bread that shows off and everyone loves, and like a bread that everyone can pick at and eat and stuff like that. Focaccia definitely is one of those breads where it's like, if you make one thing of focaccia, you can feed an entire family of that and more, because focaccia is such an easy to share bread, and even more so than like sourdough, I will go out and admit. Because sourdough, you kind of have to cut those slices, and sometimes they're too thick, sometimes they're too thin, sometimes they're lopsided, and there's sometimes people just cut it wrong. People just cut it bad. And then you gotta, you know, flip the sourdough, and then this and that, and it's too crusty, and this and that, and this is the white bread of fancy breads, if that makes sense, because focaccia is so easy to share, it's so easy to eat, it's simple, it's delicious, it's just everything you would want. My ice cream is melting. I want to eat it real quick. And yes, there are wrong ways to cut bread, because here, let me show you. I don't know how to explain it to you, so let me actually show it off. Because look, let's pretend that this thing is a loaf of bread, alright? In concept, you know, you cut your bread like this. You cut little, you know, little slices like that. But let's be honest, a lot of yous probably don't even cut bread like that. What you guys tend to more or less do, well, not you guys, just everyone else really tends to do, you know, you'll cut like a lopside right here, and then you'll cut another one like this, and then you'll have it like this, and then you'll notice it like kind of almost go concave, and it's like, oh, then you cut a nice piece like that, but then it's more like triangular and stuff like that. So it's like, to give you a better visualization, like, you know, the first one will be like this, then you'll probably end up cutting like this, and then you're gonna cut like this, and then it'll be like this, and you'll see as you start cutting and whatnot, it's not like a perfectly straight line. There is technique to cut it perfectly straight, and it requires you to do a lot of sawing, and not a lot of people like to do that. And also, if you do it too thin, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. It also helps to have a cutter as well. A bread cutter is very nice. But yeah, when it comes to like all that whatnot, I want some chips now. I don't know why. I'm craving chips. But yeah, when it comes to like cutting bread and all that, listen, I know, yes, you watch VTubers, you're all really stupid. Y'all really dumb. You watch VTubers, and I know yas. Some of yas probably don't even take a shower every day. You filthy scumbags. My God. But I know how. I know what you are. You guys don't know how to cut bread correctly, so you get the pre-sliced breads. You get your Wonder Breads. You like eating your yoga mats, and you know what? That's fine. That's the lifestyle you want to live. Okay. And then when you decide to get like, oh, let me get the Italian bread from the supermarket, which tastes like shit, first of all. You'll cut them like this. There's no way that like us clinically online people know how to cut a straight piece of bread. So yes, I know what you guys are. Don't hide it, because I know you can't. But yeah, there is a quote-unquote wrong way to cut bread, and it's not really by like, oh yeah, I can cut bread because... I lost my train of thought. cutting, I don't know, whatever. Cutting bread is cutting bread. It's easier to cut a bread like focaccia, because you just make squares. And it's not that deep. I don't know. You can cut squares. It's like brownies. Here's a great example, a perfect example to what I'm trying to, like, explain here. What's easier to cut, a cake or brownies? Because for some reason, sometimes when I cut a cake, at least, I autistically need to get 8 pieces in even spots. But for whatever reason, I can't cut those 8 even spots, and it makes me mad. So I end up cutting like 10 pieces, and it's stupid because it doesn't look right. But when it comes to focaccia and brownies, I can cut it perfectly fine, and it's like, I don't understand why. What's wrong with my goddamn head? But yes, that's a small thing I was thinking about. But yeah, this focaccia turned out very nicely. Tomorrow I'm doing some sourdough as well. I'm also gonna be making some bagels as well. So I want to make I'm kind of iffy. I'm not iffy. I'm making sourdough there just cause I want to. There's no really reason to it. I just want to make sourdough because actually no, there is a reason for all I'm making. For my sourdough, I wanted to try and find good ratios and good numbers of like what's dinner roll size, what's a slider size, what's a sandwich size, what's a this size, you know? Because like I'm very used to making these huge loaves of bread and whatnot, but sometimes, a lot of the times actually, I don't want that. I just want to have a nice simple, whatchamacallit, I want to make a excuse me. Gonna come to me. Give me a sec. I've lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? I'm blanking out. I have lost my train of thought. Bread. Hold on, I'm gonna just listen to myself real quick. Hopefully I can recollect what I was talking about. Oh, okay, I was talking about portioning. So yeah, essentially I just want to take a better control of like what's too much, what's too little. I want to like about bread sizes. Thank you, Drew. Yeah, I want to try and get a better generalization of like sizes and all that stuff. Sourdough tends to be a bit more. Sourdough is just a lot more different when it comes to making sizes and whatnot because it rises a lot slower, but at the same time it has either more or less oven spring. Oven spring is that rise that you get when you throw it in the oven, hence the name oven spring. But sourdough tends to either have more or less oven spring. Sourdough is just weird when it rises because it rises extremely slowly. So there's a lot of more factors and things to keep in mind when you portion out sourdough specifically. Yeah. But I have made sourdough rolls and buns in the past. I just don't remember the sizes that works very nicely. I actually gotta make sure that I write down what works best because I want to make sure like, oh, if I want to make a slider sourdough bun or something like that in the future, then I can write down like, okay, if I want to do that, then I gotta make sure they're this number and that number and stuff like that, because stuff like that is very important to me in the sense of like, I need to make sure that these numbers are correct and exact and stuff like that. Also, this is just something I find really funny because it's stupid how this is apparently the thing that I live with, but I've been told, and I'm pretty sure you can all agree when I say when you hear the thing of like, oh, baking is a lot harder than it is to cook. I don't know what's wrong with me, chat. I don't know what's wrong with me. because I have such an easy time with bread making and bread baking and recipe composition, and it's like, I don't understand. Why do people say it's hard? Because at the end of the day, it's just follow the funny numbers. You follow the numbers. You do what the numbers tell you to do. And it's like, what the hell? This is really easy. Keep in mind when I say that, when I talk about usually all the breads I make, they are my recipes. First of all, that's one thing. Making my own recipes for bread, for instance, is apparently a science experiment gone wrong a science experiment gone right. Because I have a lot of my breads I've made, I've never had or bought a recipe. I've never had or bought that bread in like a commercial grocery store. And honestly, that's what I should probably be doing, because I want to get the baseline of like, what is everyone else tasting, and what is everyone else tasting versus what I'm tasting and stuff like that. But like, I'm so against doing that because I know that's a waste of money for me, because I know that regardless of what I make, it is going to most likely be a lot better. For instance, to make a brioche bun, if I want to go buy some brioche buns in the supermarket at market value, 4 of them is like $7. That's insane. That's stupid. That's insanity. If it's like $5 even, that's still too much. Because I know all the means to get there, like the butter, the egg, and everything else, and I can end up making probably a better product at the end of the day, with no doubt in my mind, and I'd be saving like so much money in that regard too. Just because like I know that if I put in the recipe, if I put in conversions and numbers and RCF and blah 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 blah, I'll be saving like $3. And I know that sounds like I'm being really cheap, but listen to when I say $1 versus $4. That's a 20. You're saving yourself 75%. All right. I could be spending $1, or I could be spending $4, and I don't feel like spending 4 times what I normally would want to when everything is so expensive. Also, speaking of which, it's crazy because I got the greatest slap to my face recently, in the sense of like, I bought a 50-pound bag of flour, as I've mentioned last stream, but that 50-pound bag of flour was $22. $22. That's great. Usually when I get buy it, it's like $26 or $25. The fact it went down $3 is insane. That's great. It's like, that's almost a whole percent. That's almost like. Hold on, I gotta remember how to do ratio. Hold on. I forgot how to do numbers for that. But like, either way, I saved a lot. That saves me a lot of money. And also, on paper, let's say if I were to sell bread, it would then also be nice, because the great thing about if you spend less money on ingredients, you can make things cheaper at the same quality and sell bread at a, not discounted, but at a lower market value. So like, let's say I was I had a bakery in the perfect world and stuff like that, and you know, my flour was like $25 for 50 pounds, and like then I would sell my bread for like $5. So if it went down to 22, then like, oh yay, I can probably lower the price of some of my bread now, because I'm spending a lot less. And I don't really care about, for me at least, I don't really care about making that much money, and I want to make sure that my customers can afford what I make. So at that point, I would probably change it to like a $4.20. Hold on, I gotta do some funny math. $4.40. Sorry, I was off by 20 cents. But like, yeah, you could then do that, and then customer clientele would be happy because like, oh my god, it's the same bread, it's cheaper, blah, 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 you know, stuff like that. It's such a small, minute thing, but don't lie to me when you said when I mentioned that, hey, your favorite thing, or like, oh, you go to the supermarket and you buy chicken, and it's like, holy shit, that chicken is 50% off, and it's not going off. Like, it's not spoiled yet. Yeah, you're gonna buy that chicken because it's cheap, and it's cheaper, and you want that, you know. $3 get you half a Big Mac. Yeah, exactly. So now I can use that $3 and go get myself a Big Mac now if I want to eat slop, which I tend to try and not do. I don't really like eating slop. I like eating good food. That's why I like making bread. I want quality. Like, look at this. Like, do you not see the quality, the love, the crumb, the colors? Like, you can see there's so much love in this. It's great. Also, I just want to say that this is like a 1.2 kilogram bread, and I'm able to hold this with my little stick arm. I'm very, very strong. So strong. Very strong. I'm like, I can pick up 50 pounds with my one arm. Yeah. Which actually isn't too far off the truth, because when I did carry my 50-pound bag of flour, before it tore open, that's a whole thing, I'm able to carry around 50 pounds in each arm, which is fun. So in essence, I could probably bench 100 pounds without even trying. But yeah, I'm not sure. Living with sisters, one who is a home baker and another who is a home chef, I can say for a fact that it's much easier to follow my sister's baking recipes than it is my other sister's cooking instructions. Yeah, I think that's also just because when it comes to cooking, and I can speak on this behalf because, well, it's my job, and also I got educated within the sphere of cooking and all that. Before I was a baker AI, I was a cooking one. So, I know a lot about the semantics when it comes to cooking. And to be 100% honest with you, cooking is all about the feeling. It is all about, cooking is a case-by-case basis. That is the best way I can explain what cooking at a professional level is. Unless you're following a recipe to a T, which is very rare. Cooking is a case-by-case basis because sometimes the ingredients are a case-by-case basis. Sometimes like the carrots might be sweeter, sometimes the potatoes might be more starchy, maybe the chicken might be a little bit, might be frozen, honestly. Your beef might be not as marbled, this and that. There's a lot of things when it comes to cooking. There's a lot of stuff that can work for you, but there's a lot of things that can also work against you in that regard as well. And more often than not, the average person's not going to think about that. And he honestly shouldn't. And that's why, like, sometimes you'll make something and it's like, oh, it's really good today. And then the next day it's like, oh, it's okay today. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of things that kind of play into little small factors, like making food taste differently, like if you cook something at high temp or low temp and stuff like that. But when it comes to baking is very, very controlled. You can control every little itty bit when it comes to baking, because flour is usually always the same, sugar is always the same. A lot of the things when it comes to baking has a very long shelf life and can last and doesn't go bad or doesn't really have too much distinguishable characteristics in comparison to your fresh vegetables, meat, and all that whatnot, you know? That's why, like, versus cooking versus baking, the number one most important thing of like when it comes to cooking is tasting as you go. Tasting, seasoning, adapting, working to the flavors that are coming by as you're going. That is very important for cooking because you can. For one thing, there's the ability to do that, and you can't really eat raw dough at the ready like that. But you can still, it's still a thing of like, there's a lot less control, so you have to try and put as much control as you can when it comes to cooking. But baking is very just to the point, clean cut, how it is, nothing to it. No ands, ifs, or buts. Flour will always be the flour that you get. Because I believe there's actually some legalities if you have like flour that is within a percentage or something different like that, but that's a different thing. Flour is always going to be your same flour if you get the same brand of flour. Sugar is going to be always the same thing when it comes to sugar, if it's the same brand of sugar, etc. and etc. It gets more complicated when you add other sort of things like roasted garlic, for instance, or stuff like that. But even at that, roasted garlic is a very easy thing to control. Hell, even like, honestly, it's really funny to say this out loud, but usually the most uncontrollable thing when it comes to making bread is water. You normally don't think about this, but like water when it comes to baking is such a weird thing to control because every single city, every single part of the world, everything has different kind of water from the tap. Some water will have more chlorine, some will have less, some will have other sort of additives to make sure it's safe for drinking, but not good for yeast because yeast is fungal, so there might be some sort of thing that might be antifungal in the water, like chlorine, that will actually diminish the power and strength of yeast. Or maybe there might be lead in the water too. That's also a factor as well. But either way around it, if I go back home, there's well water, nice, fresh, clean well water that you don't need to throw through a Brita filter. But then when I get water from the tap here, and it's like, it's like okay. But it would be like, hey, it'd be nice it went through a Brita filter because it would taste a lot more better. You can tell I live in a first world country when I can tell you the differences in the flavors of water, but it's actually not really even the flavor, it's more or less the weight with water, which makes no sense, because water being described as with weight is weird, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. But like, it is really stupid to think about that out loud, of like the most uncontrollable substance within the entirety of baking is the water. Hell, even the goddamn yeast is more controllable than water. Especially if you get your dries, your instant actives, your active yeasts, and stuff like that. Those things are pretty standard. They are very, very consistent. But the most uncontrollable thing, which is the thing that you can control though, but is very hard to control, is the water. And I've never really thought of it like this, but like water is such a hard thing to control, because what if it's too cold? You might kill your yeast, or you might retard your yeast. If it's too hot, you're gonna kill your yeast, or maybe make it too active, to where it will kind of kill itself, because you make it too hot, you make it work too hard too quickly, and it doesn't have enough time to like grow properly, so it kills itself in that regard, or just dies because it's too hot. And then you want to get but lukewarm water is obviously your best thing to do, but like you can get slightly hot lukewarm or slightly cold lukewarm, you know. There's these stupid little things where it's like, oh, this is kind of just a little bit more hot than it should be, so it's gonna work a little bit too quickly. And then there's stuff like, oh, it's a little bit too cold, it's gonna rise a little bit slowly. And it's like, yeah, I never really thought of it like this. And like, there's people out there that will say like, oh yeah, you want to make sure you temp your flowers. I personally think that is ridiculous, and I think that's a bit too temperamental, and also just, Jesus Christ, that's being really pedantic here. It's very pedantic. Like, I don't think that's exactly necessary, I go as far as say. Also, random question, no need to answer. How much do you weigh? 150 on a bad day, 145 on a good day, if that makes sense. Bro, I don't know how I'm feeling on a good day. How am I supposed to know my food's feeling? You're supposed to, you're supposed to, you know, brush your hand through your food and ask, hey, hey, baby girl, how are you doing today? Jeez, I don't know. Manual raid, also you're light for our carbohydrate maker. That is funny. Because, like, I actually believe the same thing as well. By the way, thank you for the raid, Felix. But it's really funny, because, like, I know. And a lot of people will tell me this, like, wow, you're very light for being a baker. And you're very thin. You're very stick-like for being a baker. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it, other than saying that I'm just a stick? Or I have a good metabolism? I don't know. I just kind of eat when I'm hungry, and then don't eat when I'm not hungry. And sometimes, if I want to feel like snacking, then I'll just snack. But also, I don't really snack that often. I very rarely actually get snacks. I actually bought these chips because it's like, it was like, get 2 bags, you spend $5, which is a really good deal, honestly. I mean, can we talk about how expensive, like, chips are? Because I never realized how expensive chips were until I started living alone. Because, like, holy shit, why is it so expensive to get 1 bag of chips? And it's like $4 some days. Sometimes it's $5. A bag of Doritos is like $6. Like, holy hell. I just want some good salty potatoes. I want some thin sliced salty potato crisps. But no, I don't feel like spending $5 for 1 small bag. Because usually I end up eating that small bag in one go. So, if there's one bag of chip that I've been trying to look for a while, it's just because I haven't seen it very often. We're trying to look for sun chips. I love sun chips. They're one of my favorite kind of chips to eat. I don't know what sun chips are made out of. I'm gonna look into it right now because I haven't really thought about, hey, what are sun chips made out of? But, like, I love sun chips. They taste good. They're yummy. I like sun chips. They taste good, and I remember seeing it when I was like in grade school, and it was like, oh, these are healthy chips. You should eat them. Yummy, yummy, yummy. You're so good. What are some chips made of? A blend of whole grains. Oh, it's a no. Okay, I can see how they're healthy in that regard. Vegetable oils, flours. So, come to think of it, some chips aren't actually really even chips. They're more crackers in that regard because a blend of whole grains, oat flours, oils, seasonings. Yeah, okay. So the chips tend to be healthier than potato chips with less fat, less salt, and more fiber. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know. I hate being like I hate being older now just because there's a lot of things that come into fruition to where it's like, wow, these things don't make sense, but they do now that it's... They're crackers, they're not chips. What? Yeah. It's like bananas, they're berries! Anyways. Sorry, I am just, I'm being a little silly right now. I am what is it? What is it? Whoa. I'm scrolling down on Twitter now. Uh-oh, this is the life I have. This is the life I oh wait, I gotta do that too. This is the life I have now subjecting myself into. Oh wait, I'm okay, so I have to go really quickly do some possible impulse spendings here because I have seen this new thing come arise to where there's some bread themed merchandise that's really cute, and I kind of want to get some of it because it's really good, really silly. Hold on, I want to look at it real quick, and I'll show some pictures too. But like, it's so like silly and whimsy, and I love it like that. I love it all. I love it at all. Overall shorts. Oh my god, okay, no, I can't spend money on clothing like that. Holy hell. Okay, that like, I believe that this stuff is made to order and all that stuff, and it's, you know, it has to be that expensive, but oh god, that price tag scares me. This is my nightmares. Jesus Christ. But like, look at this stuff. Look at this. Oh my god, it's so cute. Come arise, bread merchandise. I see what you did there. That, you know, I really was not trying to make a pun there. It was just very natural. But like, look at that. It's so cute. I really love like the overalls are just awesome. I would love to wear something like this. Like the overalls are so I would wear this. This is great. So I would love to wear something like that, but that's a little pricey. But it seems like there are hats that are how would you say pricey? But I would probably still get them because they are silly little hats, and I love myself a good silly hat. That is not the silly hat. I want my silly hat. I want to show the. I want to show chat the silly hat. Give me this. The goddamn silly hat. Okay, you gotta take my word for it. But there's the beret. That looks like a baker's hat, but it's more of a beret, and there's like little cute things. Then there's also like a bread tie. It's just really silly because I don't wear ties. But then there's a baseball cap, and it's like, yeah, I would definitely wear this. I would even take this to work because like it's kind of cute. It's like slay. I love that. It's awesome. I want it. Hold on. Let me try again to try and get this because like it's a really good hat. I'm a sucker for hats. I love hats. Hats are great. Yeah! Okay, here's the hat. That's a good hat right there. I love that hat. So I want to get this as it'd be a good hat. I'm also like the most boring Joe Schmo that comes most boring Joe Schmo alive. I love myself just like a baseball cap. So yeah. Okay. Whoopsie. I'm on Twitter again. Sorry. I was like, oh geez. Alright. Well, anyways. Sorry, I want to treat myself to a little treat. I want to... I get to have one singular chip. By the way, I haven't really thought about it too much. But do you ever look on the back of the bag of chips and it says like, oh, one serving of potato chips, which is about 1 ounce, or 18 chips. It will tell you like all that stuff. Is that kind of funny? Like 1 ounce of a food can be 150 calories, or like 18 whole chips can equate to that. Granted, I'm not sure. I never really have the idea of like 18 chips. I never really counted out 18 chips because I just kind of reach my hand in there and grab a chip and eat my favorite kind of glass I can. But I don't know. It's one of those. It's one of those things where like the number is little, but like all that stuff seems really big, and number don't work well like that. Why number work like that? Number like that don't make no sense. I don't like that. Number should be going down, not up. And it's like, why number go up? This is where number I don't want to go up. But I don't know. Counting chips sounds like a nightmare. Like I know that the reason for that is for people to actually, you know, take into account of like what they intake and stuff like that. But like I understand that people need to count their calories and what they eat and do this and that, and like, you know what, to each their own. But how sad do you have to be to count your chips? I'm a person that's like I'm all in or all out. If you're gonna have chips, you're gonna have a bowl of chips and you're not counting out every single chip. If anything, you're gonna measure the chips on a tiered scale, and you're gonna do that. But if you are meticulously counting out chips, that just seems so sad, and I'm glad I'm not living that life. Now, it's a little bit different if there's like health conditions and stuff like that, but at that point, if you're worried about a health condition and you're eating chips, you probably shouldn't even be eating chips to begin with. It's like counting chips is like counting to 100. You can count to 100, but why would you count to 100? Counting chips, it's like, you can count chips, but how miserable do you have to be to count chips? And I'll stand by that. I'll die on that hill. I don't care. Get offended, get mad, get sad. That's so stupid. Now granted, I bet someone could definitely say on the other side of the spectrum, why would you meticulously count grams and stuff like when it comes to bread and stuff like that? Because a lot of people tend to measure out in ounces, especially in the States. I like to make sure things are consistent and exact and to the point and correct and always the same thing every single time, which is a very hard thing when it comes to baking. Also, for those that might think that like, oh, Salty, you make a oh hey Salty, you make really good bread, like wow, this is a very good piece of bread. How can you possibly say that you're bad at baking? The issue is consistency. I can make really good bread, but to make bread that is consistently the same every single time, it's very difficult for me. Just because sometimes I rush, sometimes my own anxieties get to me and stuff like that, you know, stupid BS like this, you know, to where I don't have that sense of professionalism in the sense of like, I don't have good composure, if that makes sense. But a lot of my breads tend to not have that sense of consistency of being the same thing every single time. Apart from one thing, and that is simply what is it? Which is which is oh shoot, what's it called? What is it? My sourdough. Sorry, I'm getting distracted on Twitter again. But sourdough, what is it? The only bread that I'm really consistent and say that I am professional with, it's one bread. It's only one bread, which is kind of pathetic if you really think about it, because it's really I'm only good at really one thing. But sourdough is something that I'm consistent. I know the problems I make, and I can tell usually right off the bat, this is not gonna be good, or like this is not gonna be, or this is gonna turn out perfectly, stuff like that. There are things where it's like I can kind of even mitigate or maximize the potential, and there's stuff like that. I can very much control and manipulate sourdough to however I'd like. I know how to treat my sourdough at this point. I've gotten the right numbers, I got the right equipment, temperatures, ratios, everything. There's only one thing I change, and it's only like a it is a very oddly specific thing until you think about seasons, because when it comes to bread baking and all that stuff, it's kind of funny, but as the weather gets hotter, you gotta change your recipes a little bit, and as the weather gets colder, you also gotta change your recipes a bit. I know that during the summertime, I had to change my sourdough recipe, for instance, because usually the whole lot of my sourdough, for instance, it gets either a 20-gram increase to water, or it gets a decrease in 20 grams, because hydration, it gets a lot drier during the winter times and stuff like that. So usually I bump it up a bit more in the hydration, but only by 20 grams or an ounce. In that same regard, then I kind of take it away once it starts getting more humid and hot, because it rises faster and all that. So, you know, there's stuff like that I take into account. Sorry, wait, I'm looking at something again. Whoopsie. I'm on sourdough. I'm on Twitter again. Sorry, whoopsie. But it's really funny when it comes to sourdough, because like I can definitely say I'm very adept in making sourdough. I can't say I'm professional yet, and that's mostly because I can't make it consistently pretty. I can get you consistent results on like a score. Like I can make a really good sourdough that looks the same looks relatively the same every single time. But if you tell me to make a pretty sourdough, that is where I diminish in quality, because I'm still experimenting with scoring. I don't fully understand it just yet, because I don't really have much opportunity to practice that, because scoring sourdough is hard. That just generally for me, scoring bread is very difficult. Because you need to get at the right angle, you need to be very aggressive for your angle, and you need to be quick with it, or not quick with it. It's honestly something that I should probably look more into, which is kind of funny, because I'm basically saying I'm shit at cutting my bread. When it's raw, at least. I'm shit at cutting my dough. But yeah. Here, I'm actually gonna go to my recipe book right now. Link in the description. Wow. You know, I feel so strange every single time I want to shill out my recipe book. Because on one hand, it's like, I feel bad for shilling it out. On the other hand, I don't know why I feel bad for shilling it out. I don't get any money from it. They're literally all my recipes that I've made, and it's like, I just want you guys to use them because they're good recipes and they work. Yeah. But yeah, I feel weird every single time I want to talk about my recipes and all that stuff. Because like, oh, on one hand, I feel like, I'm showing you my recipes. I'm telling you about my recipe book. And it's like, I don't know why I feel bad or feel weird about it, because it's like, it's just a resource online that you can use to make bread. I don't know. But yeah, going down the list here of my on the normal breads section. Yeah, sourdough, I can definitely say I'm adept in making. My all-purpose bread honestly needs a bit of work. I feel like it's okay, but it definitely needs more work to it. My potato bread is also one of those things where it's like I'm on the fence with, because I'm really good at making potato bread, but at the same time it's like, I'm not sure. Same thing with my milk bread. Milk bread's okay, but I feel like it could be better. Milk bread, my milk bread, potato bread, my brioche bread. The issue about every single time I make these three breads is that they're inconsistent. And that's also just because there's so much more ingredients that go into it, and there's a lot more things that are really weird in comparison to like your standard bread. Because in my head, a standard bread is flour, water, salt, yeast, or some sort of leaven, you know. But for potato bread, for instance, you don't use water. There is no water in potato bread. It is potato, flour, and other sort of stuff, like butter and yolks. There's nothing. There's no water in bread, in potato bread, and it's really weird. It's great when it's done right, but at the same time, when it's not done right, I just don't understand. Milk bread, it has the introduction of a doxxing, and not only that, but there's usually a lot of fat. There's usually a lot of dairy. There's usually a lot of fat. There's a lot of stuff that makes it a little bit more difficult to mix and knead together. So that upon itself is a little bit strange as well, and there's inconsistencies of that. Brioche, holy shit, is that inconsistent, because there's so much fat, there's so much egg yolk, there's so much butter. It's confusing to work around. Brioche is extremely difficult for me to understand. Challah is manageable, but the thing about challah that I struggle with a lot is that making a challah bread is just very... The braids are the thing that is really hard to do. I can make it taste good, but making it look good is very difficult, so that's where I kind of diminish. Rye bread, I honestly need to work on this one too. It's good, but I feel like the results are always so... You know, they're just very... Like, you can definitely say like, oh, this is a good rye. And that's pretty much all you can say with it, you know? It's just... For me, personally, it's just kinda... It's like, Funny to say, whenever I make focaccia too, the focaccia I make is also kind of very temperamental. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and that's mostly because there's two ways to make my focaccia. There's the right way, and then there's the wrong way to doing it. Well, there's the right way and then the lazy way. I tend to make my focaccias the lazy way because I am, as I've mentioned, a very lazy person. But that being said, I do acknowledge that I usually make the lazy way focaccia, and that is part of the reason to why it's always so temperamental. But making it the way by making a proper biga, and then letting that ferment, and then using that for the next day, and blah 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 blah, usually will give you better, more consistent results. But I still can't deny the idea that, yeah, I'm just so temperamental with it, and it's like, I could be so much better with making focaccia, and there's also other things that you have to worry about when it comes to making focaccia, such as toppings. I can definitely say that when it comes to bread, it's like sourdough's number one, and then focaccia's right behind it, just because it's so simple to make. Pizza doughs, honestly, my pizza dough is so garbage. They're so bad. Just because they just taste like bread. I don't really know what makes a good pizza dough. It's just there just so I have it. Because it's a bread recipe for a pizza dough that I think works fairly well. Honestly, I need to do some pizza making streams because the pizza I make is garbage. And it's mostly because, like, the bottom of the pizza is never cooked all the way. So I need to make sure, like, is it hydration? Is it this? Is it that? It's mostly, at the end of the day, it's my oven, because my oven's shit. Oh, my bagels are so temperamental too. Oh, they're so. Oh, I wish I could be better at bagels. Bagels are so difficult to me. By the way, hi Juwan, hi Pom Pom, hi. Bagels. I can make good bagels. I can make some really good bagels. I can make bagels that look like that they came just fresh from the store. Like, I can make really good bagels. But in that same regard, I can make some really bad bagels too. Bagels are extremely temperamental in the sense of, like, I just don't have the idea of making them consistently good. Let me just clarify that. I can make good bagels, but they're never consistent. They're never always the same kind of bagels I made since, like, last time, or this or that. There's always something different with every single time I make bagels. And that is mostly because of proof time and boiling time. And also, do I pat them or do I not pat them? There's a lot of, like, small stuff when it comes to making a bagel that makes it very difficult. Because you want to boil a bagel when it's not properly proof. But, like, at that same time, trying to find that time to get it to where it's properly or improperly proof is very difficult for me. Because I just am too lazy to make a timer or set something like that. So I kind of just go off visualizations and stuff like that. And I haven't really gotten a good system down yet because I forget. Banana bread's always banana bread. The only thing that's inconsistent of that is just the bananas. But that's fine. You know, I haven't made a pie in a long time. I should make a pie. That'd be fun. Malasadas are just a fun little thing. I don't really think too hard about malasadas. It's funny, when it comes to cookies and stuff like that, I'm not really too hard on myself for it. It's just like, oh, yeah, those are things. Speaking of bread, I definitely want to rework on some of the breads I've made in on the VTuber inspired breads. Just because some of them are kind of, for lack of a better word, they're kind of low. The pictures I got for them are kind of bad. And I kind of want to go back and remake them. Especially for vanilla sourdough milk bread. I do want to try and remake that, just because I feel like I have a better idea. But something that's actually very difficult when it comes to making a loaf pan bread is that I never get a good idea of, like, how much is too much, how much is too little. I want to get like the perfect size for a loaf pan and stuff like that, but I always either go too much and then it kind of collapses on itself, or too little and doesn't really kind of hit the expectation or hit the mark. That's why I like making sourdough or like rolls or stuff like that, to where it's kind of more free form and stuff like that. When it's in a mold, I tend to struggle a little bit because it's like, oh, how was just too much? That was just too little, stuff like that. And unfortunately for stuff like that, it's a bigger commitment because I have to put in either 600 grams, 700 grams, etc. And usually it's hit or miss. Sometimes I proof it for too long, sometimes I don't proof it long enough, sometimes I need more dough, sometimes I don't have enough dough, and if I don't put enough dough, it's overproof and collapses on itself. Bread's very temperamental at times, and it's like, oh, I know every single mistake I've made when it came to making this bread and that and that and that, but it's like... Is making bagels hard? Making bagels is moderate. Once more, the hardest thing about making a bagel is just the hardest thing when it comes to making a bagel is just trying to make sure you boil it at the right time. Boiling it at the right time is usually the biggest hurdle to worry about, so yeah. Well then, just commit to the bit, 5-head. No. Cause the thing about, like, it's really funny to say it like this, but a reason why I don't actually make a lot of breads within my molds and stuff like that, or like my loaf pans and stuff, or specifically not just my loaf pans, because my loaf pans are technically free.
Look! 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 What the fuck is this?
I don't know.
Spent a week reading someone else's code just to change one line to fix a bug. That's real. Yeah, that's real. That happens.
That's some fancy stuff that I don't understand very much of. But sure, Slay King, yeah. Hey, Neo Paulino, thank you for the raid. Thank you for raids on both sides here. Hey, do you like Cobblemon? Do you like Minecraft? Do you like Pokemon? Would you like to join a Cobblemon server? Wah. Hey, hello. How was stream? Hope your stream was good. We're talking about bread today. I'm trying to release my power. I'm trying to release my power. I'm trying to talk about bread and all that stuff, but I'm very bad at like talking about bread in the broad scheme of it all. I'm trying to I'm just kind of just talking about bread. It's like we're seeing what goes on from there. I'm sure you could learn it. Baking is just coating with flour. I don't think so. I don't. Okay, I did take. Holy shit, English is bad. I have taken a course on coding, and I know very basic JavaScript. But that's it. I'm so bad. It's kind of pathetic. Tell you about yeast. Okay, what kind of yeast do you want to talk about? That's hard to talk about because, like, oh yeah, yeast. Yeast is a really weird thing to talk about because, like, yeast is like, there's a lot of kinds of yeast that you can think about. A lot of my recipes, when they don't use the sour starter, tend to use instant active just because instant active is very convenient, it's easy to use, and it's very quick. But then there are some benefits to using active yeast because active yeast flourishes more with flavor, strength as well, but you have to activate it because it's active yeast. Go figure. Da-da-dee-da, you know? But like, let's say you were to make a... Let's say if you were to go to my recipes and you make the focaccia. Making the focaccia requires you to make a pre-ferment. And usually, you don't want to use instant active for pre-ferments because it can overwork itself in that regard to where it kind of lessens its potential rise. Active yeast has a much more consistent it has more consistency, has stronger strength with rise and this and that, and tends to give off a little bit better and more unique, not unique, but better flavor. Instant active is kind of like a sprinter, while a active dry is more for long term and stuff like that, if that makes sense. So like if you're making a bread that you want to make in one single day and not really worry about too much about fermenting and, you know, day over rest and stuff like that, you tend to want to use your instant active yeast. But if you want to make a good bread and you want to let it go to the next day, it's more beneficial to you if you use active yeast and stuff like that, because that has better potential flavor. But let's say you want to use something that's like active yeast, but you also want a better flavor, and it also has a better rise, it's stronger, because there is something better than that, and that is using fresh yeast. The issue about fresh yeast is that it has a very short shelf life of 2 weeks. And that's unheard of in my head. So unless you're making bread every single day in that regard, then you want to use fresh yeast. I don't tend to make bread every single day with instant active yeast. I'll make it for sourdough, but not, you know. So I tend to, and also fresh yeast is very expensive. So there's that too. The nice thing about active yeast, fresh yeast, is that you don't even need to activate it because it's fresh yeast. Yeah, not much else to really explain. It's fresh. It's yeast that's fresh, that hasn't been dehydrated, so you can just throw it in. So it kind of comes in like if it was like a block of butter. It's kind of weird, and it smells weird too. But like fresh yeast is interesting to bake with. I will say, if you've never baked with it, you're not missing much. It is just a block of yeast. And if you're not a professional baker that's using yeast every single day, you don't really need to use it. It's just like, eh. Okay, let's see, what else? So we talked about instant active, fresh yeast. Technically, you could use natural yeast, or sour starter is technically a thing. Sour starter is natural yeast, blah 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 blah, or tends to be in that same category of sorts. But sour starter is the yeast within your air, the atmosphere, the air around you, but it's a living thing that you constantly need to feed. But it could also be technically called a poolish, or if it's a more drier sourdough, that it's technically a biga. But even in that's a whole fun thing to talk about when it comes to levain and stuff like that, because, you know, you can have a biga or a poolish, and they're both basically the same thing, except one's Italian, one's French. But even at that regard, like, they're kind of fundamentally different when it comes to hydration specifically. Like, a poolish will tend to be a lot more wet, and it's gonna be kind of used as a pre-ferment and also flavor and also gluten development, while a biga, it's pretty much all those things too, but more so for gluten development. Like, if you're talking about if you're talking about making a ciabatta bread, they tend to use a biga because ciabatta bread tends to be very, very, very wet. It tends to be a very high hydration kind of bread. So for that, using a biga is very beneficial, just for not just flavor, but also trying to make sure that you develop gluten very effectively, because with wetter breads, the wetter, the harder it is to actually develop gluten, because it's so wet. And yeah, which cheese is your favorite? Instant active. Well, okay, if we're talking about yeast, I like using instant active because I need that instant gratification, and I also just don't care enough to use active yeast like that. But I like starter. Sour starter is cool. There's a lot more there's a lot more benefits to actually using sour starter versus using yeast. And before anyone thinks about it, using like active dry yeast is not bad for you in comparison to using sour starter. It's like, I think like in my head, when it comes to this like yeast, it's like zero, you know? Like, let's think about food in a sense of like, oh, water is good for you, soda's bad for you. You know, there's always that thing that's really good for you, and there's something that's bad for you. But then it's like, you know what's really good for you? Mineral water. Like, that's plus. That's a plus kind of thing to drink. But water tends to be in that middle area of like, it's good, but it's not bad for you. It's just kind of like standard. Yeasts, your active yeast, your dry yeast, your granulated yeasts tend to just be on that line of like, it's not bad for you, it's just standard. It's just like, it's vanilla. It's just simple. There's nothing wrong with it, you know? And then fresh yeast is above that, and then next to fresh yeast is sour starter, because with sour starters and stuff like that, you can introduce a minute amount of probiotics, better flavors, better textures, crumbs and stuff like that. And for the average person, people aren't gonna care about crumbs. But when it comes to bread and all that whatnot, sour starter is very beneficial. Here, I'm gonna go look it up right now. Benefits of sour starter. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that too, because the fun thing about sour starter that not many people would know of, I guess, is that a lot of the sour starter does is actually consume some of the yeast. I'm not sure if I did this on stream or not. I'm pretty sure I did, but I had a sourdough and I forgot to refrigerate it, so it stayed out all night. And the next day when I tried to bake it, it just turned into a flat pancake. That is a great example of like what happens to sourdough bread if you let it just kind of uncontrolled and do its own thing. It eats away at the gluten, and it kind of does diminish the structure of a bread in that regard. But in that same regard, it also is healthy to eat because it makes it more digestible for your body to actually eat that bread. Because in that sense, you're eating something that is kind of in that state of like, it's easier to digest. Your body has an easier time to digest it. Are sourdough pancakes a thing? Oh yeah, that's a very common thing for like a lot of people to use. Like, oh, I want to make a sourdough bread, but I want to use some of the discard because I don't like throwing away my discard that much. And, you know, yeah, sourdough pancakes are healthy for you, healthier for you. But like, let's say if you want to make like in the ideal world, if you want to make a healthy pancake, you want to use whole wheat flour, maybe some bananas, maybe some honey, and maybe like a good quality butter, you know? Then use some sour starter and stuff like that, and then you can on paper make a really healthy pancake for you that is not just beneficial for digestion, it'll give you some probiotics and stuff like that. Like, in that sense, it would be a lot more beneficial than eating a slice of bread, even. There's a lot of great benefits with like sour starters and stuff like that. There's a lot of healthier things. One thing is that it just... Actually, I was just gonna parrot what I was saying, but like sour starter at the end of the day does two really good things for you when it comes to making bread. It makes your bread easier to digest, and it also just adds benefits that you won't get from yeast. By the way, in that sense, it's kind of funny because on paper, if someone of celiacs decided to eat bread, if you were to force feed them sourdough, they would suffer less than if you gave them white bread, which is a weird thing to think about, but that is a thing. So yeah, eat sourdough. Sourdough is good for you. It's healthy. It makes you good. It makes you smart. It makes you bonkers. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know why. I don't know what came over me there. But usually when it comes to your sour starters and stuff like that, it's always a benefit to use them because of it just has so much better nutritional value and stuff like that, you know? It's like kimchi or kombucha or stuff like that, you know? Stuff that's fermented. Fermented food, good for you. Eat more fermented food. Fermented food good in your diet. Eat it. Alright, so... And if you're celiacs, it kills you less. Exactly! It's like, instead of getting shot in the head, if you got shot in the foot, you wouldn't die as quickly. It's like that. I tried kombucha once, and it hurt tummy. Well, that's probably a good thing, because that means your tummy fuck up. Either two things. Either your tummy is... it has a very bad... You have a very bad gut in the sense that you have nothing healthy in there, or you had some bad kombucha. It's one of the two. That, and also just saying, if it made you go use the restroom really quickly as soon as you drink kombucha, that's good, because that's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. It's flushing your system, in some regards. You know, oh, also just a funny thing, just because when I was talking, this is funny. When I was talking to one of my coworkers about my bread, this focaccia I made, it's a sourdough focaccia for those that might just have gotten in. This is a sourdough focaccia, and when I was explaining all of the what ifs and possibilities of making their bread better, because they were interested about making their bread better and all that, there was a person saying like, oh, you know, you should like teach a class. You really need to do like, you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to bread and all this and that, you know? But as I've said this already during today's stream, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know. For lack of a better word, when I talk and make my bread and this and that, to be 100% honest, I'm pulling it out of just experience. And I'm pulling it out of baseless assumptions. Stuff that I don't know if it's exactly true, but it's just like, you know what? It's true enough in my head, and it works 90% of the time. So it's like, yeah. And I'm a person that just doesn't want to feed false information and stuff like that, to where it's like, if you want the answer from me, I want to make sure I give you the most valid, truthful, and, correct answer. So when it comes to the idea of like, oh hey, I should be a teacher, oh no. Because like a lot of the things I say are very impartial. I don't know the truth. I don't know an exact reasoning, because there's always that fallacy of like, oh, what happened? I did exactly what you said, and it's like, I don't know. I don't like giving the answer of, I don't know. I want to make sure that, hey, if there's something wrong with it, it's on you. Because like, I don't know, I just don't know. I just don't know. I don't know enough about bread enough, and I want to make sure that if I am doing something, the thing I want to know if I want to teach something, I better know everything, the ins and outs. I want to know it to an extreme T. But I don't know it to an extreme T, so I just kind of know the basics. But I don't know. Once more, this bread, for instance, today, I thought was gonna be a fuck up. I thought it was gonna be bad. I thought it was not gonna turn out well, because I did the ratios incorrectly. But it was a happy accident. been told and praised, saying this was the best bread. People that would never complimented me, and it's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to bread. When it comes to bread, I just literally wing it and go like, yeah, they're doing that. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to bread. I really don't. So yeah. I'm gonna be completely honest. I used to get all my meals out of a gas station for the solid 2 years. I don't do it anymore. Well, if you did that for 2 years, then yeah, your intestinal environment must be so bad. I would, I would suggest that you start a diet on eating pickled foods and fermented foods to help create a more healthy gut environment. Because there is actually some studies out there of like a healthier gut gives you a healthier body. Pickled, yeah, like pickled onions, pickled beets, pickles, stuff like that. Vinegar, just anything with vinegar inside. Vinegar is good for you too. Shockingly, like does anyone remember people taking like apple cider vinegar shots in the morning to make you like healthier or something like that? Like, it's stupid, but like there is merit to what they do. There is merit to all that nonsense, you know. But yeah, getting probiotics and stuff like that, good intestinal and gut health is really good for you. I'm not saying it can, but there are some benefits to people who have mental illness or depression and stuff like that, or just general bad health, physical or whatever it may be. A good healthy gut is good for you, and I think I learned this from Minna, because I was watching one of her streams about talking about health and all that whatnot, and it was essentially like, oh yeah, good gut intestinal health is good for you because it makes you healthier mentally, physically, all that sort of stuff. And as kind of a consistent thing I've just heard, not just from Minna, but also online and also from doctors and stuff and this and that, and even therapists as well. But like, good gut health is something that not many people will think about nowadays, or I think people are starting to think about more nowadays, because people are coming around to the idea of like, oh yeah, gut health is very good, so that you should keep track of. So it's not just the brain if you're omega-3s and this like that, but you also need to make sure you eat some good stuff for your gut. So kimchi is good for you and stuff like that. Yeah. Come to think of it, I really want to buy some kombucha. It's just that I don't really know good brands of kombucha to buy. And I don't really know where to buy good brands of kombucha. And I don't really know what good kombuchas are good. Because I've had some kombuchas that are really, really good. And then I've also had some kombuchas that are just really, really bad. So yeah, when it comes to like kombucha and stuff like that, I would love to start having more kombucha, but I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like trying to find it. How are they bad? Well, bad in the sense of flavor. This is just a completely preference thing. Kombucha is just 100% just good for you. You should at least have having kombucha. If you were in the perfect world, if you were able to afford having kombucha every single day, you would be an extremely healthy person. Well, not extremely, but you would be a healthier person. But not only is it expensive, so it's not really something that I want to do just because like, oh, I want to buy a kombucha that I end up not liking because I don't like that flavor. And kombuchas are very much hit or miss for me. So it's like, oh, this like blueberry kombucha I had once, oh, it was so good. Nice, sweet, fruity, blueberry, all that stuff that you would want in something like this. And then I had this like mango kombucha, and I hate mangoes, but oh my goodness, this mango kombucha was so sweet, and the tartness and like that sour funk, or I don't really know how to explain it, but that flavor from kombucha works really well in tandem with the with the tartness of a with the mango and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought here. Yeah. Oh, you know, I just kind of realized. I was just looking at the stream title and stuff like that. I have been doing a lot of bread talk, which is like nice, you know, bread talk. I love talking about bread. I also kind of realized that there was a point of contention of like, yeah, I need to also talk about some bread concepts and stuff, because I do want to do some new bread concepts and also start working on breads that are... We'll just start working on other breads. I have still been working on Senna's bread, but as much as I really want to work on this, it's really tiresome and also just very difficult. Working with gluten-free bread is so hard. It really is. But I do want to make a I'm this close. I'm so close to cracking the ideology of making a good gluten-free bread, but it's so weird. For one thing, you don't want to overmix the bread because it will get dense. But like, I'm close. I feel like I'm so close to making a good gluten-free bread. But on top of it all, it's also very expensive. It's a very expensive thing to do. So unfortunately, the cost of making a gluten-free bread is just very difficult. I don't think I've ever tried kombucha before. I don't know how to explain kombucha because I think kombucha is such a unique thing that it can't really be described. I would like to think that... Okay, it's gonna sound weird, but it's almost like a sweetened, carbonated vinegar. But it's not like very strong in the sense. It's like if you watered down vinegar and made it sweet. Some of them at least. It's weird. It's really weird. I actually gotta mess with one of these things because Q's has changed completely. That, and also there's another lad who is under her that I want to change as well. Okay, here it is. So for Q, I do have a new bread I want to try and work on, and I just haven't been really motivated to work on it yet. But I want to make a lemon maloroca, this thing. It is a bread that is within her not region, her culture and stuff like that. So I want to make that lemon just because piss fox, I guess. I want to try to for Mila's, I actually need to rework it because like I got a good recipe for this so far, but the thing is that it's too brandy and it needs some sense of sweetness. It's it tastes too brandy and it tastes too healthy, so I do want to give it a little bit more leniency or something that makes it a little bit more tastier. So I'm thinking either adding blueberry or adding honey to it. I gotta try and look into that. Well, not try and look to it, but experiment with that. Like, is adding honey, would that make it nice? Or adding blueberry, would that make it nice? Blueberry would add also a nice color too, so I'm kind of on the fence of adding blueberries and stuff like that, but I don't know. Mima, I definitely need to make something better for her because this is just such a stupid idea. But because lavender naan seems very weird. It's very niche in that regard. It's like I could do better. I can do something better by her. So yeah. Orange marmalade brioche. I'm not so sure. I think I have something written down for this stupid silly snail. This silly snail. Oh yeah, I do. This is also a thing that is more, what's the word? That is within their region. I think region? Something that is more like them, I guess. But they're fun little braided buns. And I want to do like do something that's like a hair bun, I guess. Like her hair buns are like braided and all that, so it just makes more sense if I did this kind of bun. I gotta look up recipes and all that whatnot. I might want to add like some orange flavor, maybe like some sort of orange marmalade. I gotta probably message her for some ideas for that. Temp is easy because I kind of want to do a soda bread for him. Doing like an Irish soda bread would be fun, but I want to think of flavorings and stuff that would work very temp-like. I don't know, like deep fry it in tempura batter. I don't know. And then, you know, you got your cola bread that I just... It's a funny idea, but I just don't feel like doing it. Just because, like... I just don't feel like making a bread like this because it seems so sacrilegious. It's like making a Gatorade bread. It's just like, I don't want to do it. You can't make me do it. What sort of soda? Oh, soda bread's relative in the sense that you usually either use seltzer or, like, baking soda and stuff like that. It's like a bread that's not leavened with yeast. It's more of a cake, but it's called a soda bread or beer bread, one of the two. Do it, no balls. You're right, I'm a girl now. No balls. Balls disappeared. But yeah, I also really want to look into making Rymy's bread, just because this seems fascinating. This seems weird. Because, no, well, not just weird, but it seems really interesting, just because I want to see the interaction of wine and cheese and bread actually work together. Because in concept, this should work nicely, but I'm wondering how the color of the dough would be, the flavor, and also the rise, because in concept this should work very well, but I'm also not sure if this would be too funky or something like that. This is all stuff I gotta really research at the end of the day, and probably something I gotta do at home. You know, that's also just a nice thing about a lot of these breads I have been able to practice. A lot of these breads I have been able to practice at my job, and it's also cheaper to do it at the job too, because I don't have to spend money. But yeah, there's stuff like that. Yeah, no, I'm probably gonna bench these two for now, and also Kara, because I don't know anything. Onion poppy seed mint bread, that seems interesting. Unfortunately, these lot right here, I just don't know them enough, or I don't have really any good ideas that I'm satisfied with sticking down to, I guess. There's a lot of recipes there's a lot of VTubers I want to make bread for, but I'm just simply not satisfied with like that result. Because some of them seems very soulless, some of them seems very sad, and just not very good. Okay. You know, I want to ask about this, but there is actually a tuber that has okay. I don't think there's anyone that's really that's really interested in hearing it. Thank God I have a small view count, because I can talk about this stuff and not worry too much about it. But I believe there was someone I was talking to, and they were able to relay a message to another VTuber, and they gave me a an insight of like what kind of bread would they like to be. Hold on, I gotta find it. I'm pretty sure I actually showed it off the other day. Yeah, this bread. The cheddar jalapeno bread. This VTuber, the VTuber I am talking of, they said that if they were to be a bread, they would be this. And this one I'm actually pretty happy about. I kind of want to just send it at this point, but there are some small transgressions I have about this because it's not as good as I want it to be, and also there could just be more to it to make it better. I'm just gonna rip the fucking band-aid off. It's Pippa. This is a bread that Pippa would want to be a cheddar jalapeno bread. So yeah, that's fun. That's great. So I'm just not sure if I'm confident enough to go on, stamp it, and say this is a Pippa bread. I guess. I don't know. She scares me. Do it? Well, that's also the thing too. Regardless of who it is, big or not, I still want to make sure that if I make the recipe, like, stamp it and send it, I want to make sure that it's a good bread. This jalapeno bread was good, but it needs a bit more work. It just needs something else. There is just something that is just missing, you know? You won't understand until you just don't understand my perfectionism, chat, okay? It just needs something else. Maybe crack cocaine, but it just needs something. It probably just ends in, at the end of the day, it probably just needs more cheese. That's all it really needs. But it was really good bread though, all things considered. I don't know. I also do want to... Oh, you know, actually, something I kind of want to do, just thinking about it now. I kind of would like to make it into, Oh, yes. Oh, wait, this is such a great idea. I'm so glad I thought about this. Making it into something like this. Because I know this looks just like a normal knot bread, but apparently this is a bunny knot. So doing a jalapeno cheddar bunny knot bread for Pippa would just make so much sense. And also, yeah, it is kind of cute. So yeah, that, and also kind of makes sense, like, oh yeah, she's kind of a spicy tuber, I guess. Not spicy as in sex, but like, wow, she really is loud. But yeah, I want to look into it. Like, this was a fun bread to make. But making it into something like this would be very cool. And then, like, you could put the cheese on it, and then you could put the jalapeno, like, right here. Ooh, it just needs work. As I keep saying, it just needs work. It needs more oomph. It needs more ideas and stuff. So, yeah. Bunny buns. There's a lot of other, like, bread, VTubers for breads, though. Honestly, I want to do breads for just, what is it? I want to do breads for, like, I just want to do just VTuber breads in general. Like, I want to make a bao, what is it? A bao bread. A bread based on bao, that weird whale thing, you know, that weird whale. I think it's really easy to make a bread that's based off her. Doing like a, what is it? Doing like a, hold on. I think doing like a... Okay, so it's kind of funny, because like, if I say this out loud, it is pretty much the same thing I am doing for another VTuber, but I want to do a walnut blueberry sourdough. But like, the funny thing is that there's another tuber I'm doing, Mila Lelu, and I'm doing a walnut blueberry country bread. The difference between the two that is a sourdough tends to have sour starter, and a country bread tends to have a poolish or some sort of pre-ferment. Very similar, but it's like the only difference is a sour starter versus a other thing. It's like, which one do I change? You know, a Dutch bread, by the way, is just a sour starter, so there's that. But when it comes to Bao, I believe she's been delving into sourdough. I haven't really been watching her stream, so I don't really know. But I have been seeing a few clips here and there of her making bread and whatnot, which is really cool. I love when VTubers... I just love it when people make bread. I think that's awesome, that's great, and all that. But, what is it? I don't know. When trying to make something for, Bao, I just don't know. Like nuts are a prerequisite, and I will not explain why. And blueberry is also a prerequisite because I believe a lot of her, like, she has a gamer subs, I believe, and it's blueberry flavored. So it's like, yeah, you kind of have to do that, right? Kind of stay on brand in that regard. So blueberry, I think she's been doing either whole wheat or rye? Hold on, I'm gonna go look at her Twitter, which is probably a bad thing to do. Gamer subs bread. You know, actually, I have 100% been thinking about that. Actually, you know, okay. That seems very cursed. But that also just seems completely on brand for the kind of thing Bao is. Yeah, what if I got her gamer subs and made it into a bread? I hate that idea, but that seems really funny. I'm actually, I kind of fuck with that. That's kind of a great idea. Especially since it's like, I have been very interested in doing like, what is it? I have been wanting to do like Gatorade bread, and although Gatorade and caffeine drinks are they are very different things, I do still want to see the interaction, just because, what is it? I don't know, I just want to see the interaction of like yeast and electrolytes, for example, just because I hear that there is, what's the word? It rises better, apparently? It's fluffier? It does something good, and it's like, I don't know what it does, and I can't remember what it does, but I want to look into it just because it seems interesting. But, yeah. I think, okay, so I just looked at her Twitter. Whole wheat sourdough. So, I'm gonna write down whole is gonna be a whole wheat wait, hold on. That's funny. A seeded. Actually, you know what? We'll make her thing really stupidly fancy. A bolted whole wheat blueberry sourdough. It sounds really, really fancy in a roundabout way. It's almost like it really is, at the end of the day, just a whole wheat sourdough with blueberries. But bolted means that you should so bolted flours are usually flours that are milled by hand, and I do actually have a bread mill, a flour mill, sorry, and I could do that. but I also might want to take some of the thick granules, and I actually might want to implement that into the bread, almost like a seeded bread. Because if there is one kind of sourdough I haven't really made, but I've been wanting to make, I have never really made a seeded sourdough before. I do want to try making that because that would be kind of fun. Also, just saying, seed inside bread. I'm not going to explain myself. That is the funny thing. Wow. Instead of doing nuts, I can do seeds instead, and it kind of fits that same sort of like prerequisite. We're gonna leave it at, yeah, a prerequisite. We'll just leave it at that. Anyways, bolted whole wheat, yeah. A seeded bolted whole wheat blueberry sourdough. That sounds too goddamn fancy for the silly whale. But I'd still do it. I'm actually just looking through my what is it? I'm looking through my what is it? I'm looking through the things that are things. I'm looking through my what the hell am I thinking of? I'm looking through my currently who's live right now and just trying to think of hold on, it's gonna come to me. I am looking at my list on Twitch of who is live and just thinking of like, oh, who could I make bread based on? Honestly, I see some Sienna. I want to make. I think out of everyone that I know, that all the VTubers I know of, I think Sienna definitely deserves the honor, if you will, of getting a bread made of Gatorade. I actually don't. Funny thing is, I actually don't watch really much of Sienna's streams. I know of them. I kind of watch them on and off. Very rarely. But yeah, that is something I would like to look into. I don't know. I have a very toxic trait of wanting to watch a VTuber or say, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this VTuber more or less, more often and all that whatnot, and then end up not watching them just because I don't feel like it. I don't know. I have a very, 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 very bad, what is it? I forgot. Tendency to just watch streams because I'm just too lazy to watch streams. Too much, I don't know. What's the word? I just don't have the attention span. There we go! I don't have the attention span to watch streams all the time. But yeah. I am actually thinking about something else that's kind of funny. A bread that's like, what is it? A bread that's based on Hatsune Miku. And then another bread that's based on Teto. Cause like, I definitely would like to make bread based on on the two characters. It's just that, okay, so Hatsune Miku is going to have a is gonna have a bread made of leeks. Wow. And then Teto is gonna have a fucking baguette. Wow. But that just feels so uninspired, and I don't really know much about Vocaloid to get a really good and creative idea for one, so maybe I have to go talk to my professional Vocaloid schizo to get some ideas for. I'm actually gonna look through. I'm actually gonna scroll down Twitter right now and try and think of breads, not breads. Try and look for VTubers that were like, oh yeah, you know, I could probably make a bread based off them. Mitmai! Ah, I would love to make a bread based off her, but I just don't know! Because as much as if I recall correctly, she's an idol bread VTuber, or an idol baker. And it's really hard to make a bread based off bread, you know? Because like, oh, there's some unique flavors you can add to this and that. Like, oh, this one's from Japan. Okay, well, we have a lot more things to work with. We have milk bread, you have matcha, you have sort of things like that. You know, you have some silly stuff like that. But like, when it comes to just like making John bread, it's really hard to think of a fun, unique thing to make John bread look really cool from other bread. John bread is really good, but like, how do I make a John bread not John bread? That being said, that's definitely a thing I would love to make. I would love to make a Mitmai bread. I like Mitmai. Mitmai is so... I just like them. I don't know. I don't have any funny thing to say. Sorry, Barry. They are a character. Yeah, they're not real. They're not a person. They're a character. They're a VTuber from Eternal E. I would like to make something up for them, though I feel like it's a little too easy. Doing a strawberry sort of based bread, though. I don't know. Yeah, just gonna scroll down the list here. Actually, wait, I'm gonna go. Actually, instead, I'm just gonna go to my YouTube. What's it? My YouTube subscriptions. I don't know. Let's see. Doki bird. Oh, how the hell would you make a what the shit? What kind of bread would you make based on Doki bird? What the hell would you do with that? Oh my I don't know. Like, I'm not opposed to that. I would really like to make a Doki bread. A Doki bird bread. Sorry. But it's like, I don't know. What's a good bread that's like, that would be based on them? That could be based on them. I can't think of anything on top of my head. I'd be interested. I want to make more like ideas when it comes to the breads. When it comes to like, I guess the bigger VTubers, just because there is a bit more, I don't think nuance is the right word, but there is a lot more fun to be had with that. Oh yeah, there's a. I kind of want to make a bread based off the Toucher VTuber, the VTuber that wanted to touch everyone from Off Guy, just because that'd be kind of funny. Also, it's really funny because I saw there was this meme video. There's a meme video based on that was based on this Off Guy thing, and it's really funny because I also saw me in it. It was like, oh my god, I'm in there. That's so cool. So that was silly. That was a little silly thing. I don't know. I want to go find it again. It was really silly. Yeah, I'm gonna just scroll down my likes. Man, why do I like things? Why do I like so many things? I gotta find it. I'm going to find it. What was I looking up again? I'm just scrolling down my likes and it's like, huh. Man, these definitely are really cool, but it's like, what am I looking for again? No, actually, what am I looking? Hey, chat, what was I looking up? I completely forgot. Please help me in my time of need. I forgot what I was looking up. Oh, wait. I remembered. I kind of remember, but I kind of forgot. Who am I looking for? Who am I looking for? What VTuber? I forgot. Getting lost in the Twitter sauce again. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Toucher VTuber. The VTuber that touches the one VTuber that touches one. Yeah, at off Kai. That one. Yeah. Hold on, I gotta find it. Now I gotta scroll on Twitter. I think I might have. Oh, there it is. Alright, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to bookmark it, that's all. Yay! Yippee! I bookmark into the hee funny ago. Anyways. I wanna go play Cobblemon, so I think I'm gonna send you guys off. Yeah, I wanna go play Cobblemon. I want. Alright, thanks for the yap session. Yeah, no problem. We're gonna actually go raid someone who is live, and I believe we share the same VTuber artists. So we're gonna go raid them because I want to on Twitter. Twitter. On the Twitch side, at least. On YouTube side, we are going to go raid Juwan. He's right there. And also, I imagine you guys would like to go see him anyways. So, we're sending you off. I'm gonna send you guys off to Mr. Juwoon. I'm gonna send you guys to Fireflays on Twitch. Yeah. Thank you all for listening in to me talk about bread and forgetting stuff halfway through and then talking about Twitch and all that stuff and Twitter and all that. So, thank you. I'm not sure if I'm gonna stream tomorrow. I think we're gonna stream maybe this weekend, so there are stuff that needs to be worked on. But keep an eye on my Twitter, keep an eye on my Discord, or just keep your eyes peeled whenever I go live, because I don't have schedules anymore at all. Soon to be fixed, but we'll see. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in today. I hope you guys have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, and or evening. And I will see you when I see you next. Saltea Kichee, everyone. And ciao.